Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube and the comic book community. Welcome back to Mastodon Comics and Collecting. As always, I'm your host, the Mastodon. This is the episode 1 of a new show that I'm going to be trying out. I know previously I had said that I am working on the Marvel graphic novel list. As far as a run, now the original in its incarnation was 38 issues, 38 books. I have 21 of those so far, doing pretty well on the year. Whether I will achieve all 38, some of them can be pretty pricey, but I wanted to go with the ones in their original incarnation, attempting to do first prints, but that's not always feasible. Budgetary concerns. The Death of Captain Marvel, which is the first Marvel graphic novel. This one happens to be third printing. I picked that up pretty cheap. Especially by going with third printing, and it's a little lower grade. There's some creases here and there, but I kind of was only after the story itself and the art. And this cover is phenomenal. Talk about an iconic cover. Death carrying Captain Marvel himself, Marvel, and all the characters around him. Why they all have angry faces, I don't know. I'm assuming that alludes to what the story is, that they're all angry at death for taking this fellow superhero, fellow friend, and in some cases, fellow enemy. But I read this week. First time I've ever read this story. It's actually my first read of any Captain Marvel. So I have a vague understanding of the character. I know he's a Kree warrior, and he came to Earth with certain on a mission to maybe in the future make Earth part of the Kree Empire, or the solar system part of the Kree Empire. And he, much like Doctor Who, acquired a kinship or a friendship for the people of Earth, and in a sense betrayed the Kree Empire, which plays into this book somewhat. And I'm going to pose a question later on at the end of the video, and see if anybody might be able to answer that question for me, and maybe comment in the comments below where I might be able to find the answer to that question, or the information. But I read this really with no expectations. I knew from various people in the community and friends locally here that it's a good story, but I didn't quite grasp the impact of it. We go in, and he is essentially writing his memoirs, and I thought that the whole story, the idea of this, it's not your typical superhero story. But you go into it as I said, he's recording his memoirs, and I believe it was Eros, um, Star Fox, who said you're a bit young to be recording your memoirs, and we find out in a sense why he's recording his memoirs, um, and he explains certain things later on. But as he's doing this, he's talking about past tales that play into this, and in the book we find out that he has a type of cancer. Is it a cosmic cancer? We don't know, but it's kind of a unique. And Beast in the book brings it up that beneath everything, the costumes, the powers, we are all just mortal men and women. Um, it doesn't. It brings to light that superheroes don't always die in the heat of battle. Uh, Now, that doesn't take away from the fact that cancer is a battle, and unfortunately, some people lose. This book spoke to me on multiple different levels, uh, both because of impact from cancer in my own life and family. Um, but the story, it it made a lot more sense because, like I said, it's superheroes. It's the vulnerability. There's a vulnerability, um, and it basically brought that to the fore. Uh, I recommend this book to anybody. Um, for me, it gets a 9 out of 10. My favorite story is Crisis on Infinite Earths, and this book gave it a run for its money. It's very well written. The art is great. Some of there was a couple scenes which made me question my reading it at work, but some of the scenes are definite tearjerkers. Um, so that a friend of mine, local friend, uh, addressed the fight at the end, and I agreed with him. It was great. The fight with Thanos, and at the end, how Thanos says this is only the beginning. That was just a great touch. Also, the fact that to this day, Marvel has remained dead through all the reboots, through all that stuff. He is the one. I maybe not the one of out of many that has never been brought back. And honestly, I think it's better that way. Um, it creates a sense of reality uh, from comic books, and it's an explanation. Excuse me. But back to the question that I was going to ask at the end: how everybody was helping, but in the eyes of the Kree Empire, he's a traitor. My question is, does anybody within the community, and if you can help me out, answer in the comments below, does anybody know if there was ever a storyline where even in passing that someone from the Kree, whether it be the Supreme Intelligence himself or any member of the Kree Empire, uh, addressing the fact that Marvel died of this cancer, or that they didn't help him, or any, something like that. I just, curiosity was piqued, but definitely a 9. We'll say 9.8. Um, Go check this out. Great story. You don't necessarily, you just do some research. You don't have to get caught up on all the other stuff, but it was suggested issue 34 with Nitro. Definitely read that. It's a good companion to this. I want to thank One Wolf Gun for addressing that, and definitely check this out. Great story. Um, it's up there in the pantheon, definitely. And as always, keep collecting, keep reading, and keep sharing. Later.